My name is Ching and I'm a speaker trainer who helps businesses and people all around the world adopt AI in their everyday practices to help them improve their business, their careers, and most importantly, their life and well-being as well. So when it comes to my personal beliefs, I'm very much influenced by the teachings of Buddhism and Taoism. I come from a family of Taoists who is very much guided by Guan Yin, also known as the goddess of mercy. So throughout my entire life, I've been guided by the principles of love, compassion, and understanding. So this video will be very interesting for me to dive into getting to know more about Islam, especially coming from a background of being a Malaysian. We have a multicultural society here, predominantly Muslim. So I do know a little bit about the Muslim culture, and this is a great opportunity to dive deeper into it. So today I'm going to react to some videos that I have never ever watched before from Islam React, the YouTube channel. So we're going to dive in.
ألف لام ميم تلك آيات الكتاب الحكيم هدى ورحمة للمحسنين الذين يقيمون الصلاة ويؤتون الزكاة وهم بالآخرة هم يوقنون أولئك على هدى من ربهم وأولئك هم المفلحون ومن الناس من يشتري لهو الحديث ليضل عن سبيل الله بغير علم ويتخذها هزوا أولئك لهم عذاب مهين وإذا تتلى عليه آياتنا ولى مستكبرا كأن لم يسمعها كأن في أذنيه وقرا فبشره بعذاب أليم إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات لهم جنات النعيم خالدين فيها وعد الله حقا وهو العزيز الحكيم خلق السماوات بغير عمد ترونها وألقى في الأرض رواسي أن تميد بكم وبث فيها من كل دابة وأنزلنا من السماء ماء فأنبتنا فيها من كل زوج كريم هذا خلق الله فأروني ماذا خلق الذين من دونه بل الظالمون في ضلال مبين ولقد آتينا لقمان الحكمة أن اشكر لله ومن يشكر فإنما يشكر لنفسه ومن كفر فإن الله غني حميد. وإذ قال لقمان لابنه وهو يعظه يا بني لا تشرك بالله إن الشرك لظلم عظيم. ووصينا الإنسان بوالديه حملته أمه وهنا على وهن وفصاله في عامين أن اشكر لي ولوالديك إلي المصير. وإن جاهداك على أن تشرك بي ما ليس لك به علم فلا تطعهما وصاحبهما في الدنيا معروفا واتبع سبيل من أناب إلي ثم إلي مرجعكم فأنبئكم بما كنتم تعملون. يا بني إنها إن تك مثقال حبة من خردل فتكن في صخرة أو في السماوات أو في الأرض يأت بها الله إن الله لطيف خبير. يا بني أقم الصلاة وأمر بالمعروف وانه عن المنكر واصبر على ما أصابك إن ذلك من عزم الأمور. ولا تصعر خدك للناس ولا تمش في الأرض مرحا إن الله لا يحب كل مختال فخور. واقصد في مشيك واغضض من صوتك إن أنكر الأصوات لصوت الحمير. ألم تروا أن الله سخر لكم ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وأسبغ عليكم نعمه ظاهرة وباطنة ومن الناس من يجادل في الله بغير علم ولا هدى ولا كتاب منير.
My initial thoughts and feelings while listening to this passage was, how beautiful the sermon was. It was very calm, very peaceful, and you can feel that it comes from a very deep place, right? And the lessons and the core values that it shares within the verse is very, very powerful. It's all about being able to be kind, being able to focus on compassion, being able to be humble, right? Not necessarily compassion explicitly, but being humble and having humility. I think those are very, very important values to share. And I think one of the things that struck me is that this comes in the form of guidance, right? In the form of commands. So I feel that maybe for some people, they feel that, being commanded, I want to have the willpower and to have control over my life. So I think some of the words like being commanded may be strong to some people, right? And I know that there's a part of me where I'm listening to it. It's like, oh, commanding, right? You're commanding me. But if you take a step back and reflect upon it, right, and just look at it in the form of guidance, the path that is set ahead, and in terms of understanding the boundaries and frameworks where you listen to the message of God, in this instance through the Quran, through the verse, then that is where you will be guided to paradise or heaven on earth. And I do believe in that. Right, and I also do believe in the sense of the warning of not being misguided by false idols and worshipping idols in general, right? Because once you attach yourself to a certain form, then surely, right, once you hold idolatry or even a certain form of sacredness to a certain image, being, or idol, then that is a certain setup for one's downfall, right? And this, to me, it aligns with Buddhism about the whole concept of detachment. So it's very important to be able to pierce through what we see and to be able to really go into the core essence, the principles, the values that helps guide us to being better beings on earth. And in this instance is to be guided by source, the words of God. What really stood out to me was the peacefulness, the calmness, and serenity throughout the entire sermon, and being able to hear it in its original language and form, Arabic in this instance. I think there's a certain power to it when you are close to source, where it is not there is less opportunity to get lost in translation, even though I am reading the translation. But when you hear it and when you feel it, it resonates on a deeper level. Okay, and when it comes to the message, really being able to be kind, humble is very, very important. And being able to be rooted in our values, in our guidance, to be guided by God or source, wherever our beliefs lies, I think is very important, because God comes to us in many shapes and many forms. Source, right? As some people may call it, comes to us in many shapes and many forms, as above, so below. So I believe that God is guiding us, if only we are willing to open ourselves to listen. So when it comes to the comparison of the philosophies and the religious teachings that I'm familiar with, being able to be grounded and connected to God's source, or from a different perspective, to see it as being a guiding principle to us, is very important. We need to have guiding principles in our lives to navigate the chaos within our lives. And when we have those core principles, then we have that certainty and confidence and faith in God, right? Guided by the right way, the right philosophies, life will become so much smoother to us. And while we are going through struggles and suffering, as Buddhism teaches us, life is all about suffering, right? Suffering is inevitable. We will face it, but we do not have to be attached to the pain, to the struggles, because we are guided by a higher being, a higher source. So from there, I feel that with this verse that was shared in this video, it very much really relates to Buddhism as well. Okay, being able to follow the right path, and to be able to feel guided by a higher power, and that is where we are able to bring a peace within ourselves and not struggle through our lives unnecessarily, which is one of the big things I believe within our lives, right? Where as Tony Robbins shares, pain is temporary, but struggle is optional. Okay, so one of my missions here in life is to help people alleviate themselves from unnecessary struggles and pain, suffering within their lives, because a lot of the pains and struggles, hell on earth, is created by ourselves, essentially. And having the guidance of God or the right philosophies and frameworks helps alleviate us of that. Wisdom means to me the ability to not only listen, to not only hear what the wise sages, the gurus, the teachers, the everyday people that comes into our lives that teaches us, right? It's being able to fully embody the lessons that every single individual, every single experience brings to us, and to apply it in our everyday life. When we live it, then we are living with wisdom. We become that wise being. And that is what wisdom is to me, right? It's not just on an intellectual level that you need to know and understand, but you need to apply it and to see how do these wisdom, how do these different frameworks, philosophies actually apply in real life, and essentially, is it the truth? That's my guiding principle. Is it the truth? And I truly believe with the saying of the truth will set you free, because when you are guided by the truth, when you apply these teachings, that is in your real life, in the scenarios, the struggles that you face, that is where you are able to identify the truths in our lives. And this applies to businesses, it applies to our careers, our lives, our relationship. Okay, because if we are misguided, if we are applying principles incorrectly, or misunderstanding it, or something that is totally not connected to reality, then life will show us, the universe will show us, the God will show us what is the wise thing to do. And it's important for us to tap into that inner guidance, where pain is usually what shows us, okay, this is not working, right? Is this sustainable or not? This is not sustaining in your life. Why are these patterns repeating over and over and over again? And wisdom is all about breaking those patterns that are destructive, that are not serving us, and most importantly, not serving the greater good of our fellow human beings, of our world, and the lives that we live in. So that to me is what wisdom is all about. A truly wise person will be able to embody the lessons of life and apply it purposefully up until it becomes second nature to them. It becomes their way of being. Now, that is pure wisdom. The special bond of a father and his son, or to me, the bond that you have with your parents, is very, very important in our lives, because they are the first people that we meet in this world, the very first people who actually care for us. Well, at least for those of us who are fortunate enough to have them care for us, right? And the bond that we have with our parents, regardless of whether it is father and son, or father and mother, is a pivotal aspect that shapes our character and who we are in our lives, right? And what I believe in is that when you are able to have a good relationship with your parents, even when you disagree with them, then that is how you are able to find your inner peace, right? Because essentially, your father and mother are the source of you, of where you've come from. So being at peace with your source, right, your closest source, physical embodiment of your source, will give you the opportunity for peace within, right? When you're able to understand the human being and experience that your parents go through, the relationship that you have with them, you are able to find inner peace within them, right? So for me, if if there's an individual out there, or someone who's listening to this, if you are struggling, right, with your relationship with your parents, at least do your part, right, to make peace with it. At least do your part and expect nothing in return. And I promise you, when you take that piece of advice and action, it will bring a whole other level of peace within your life, right? And especially if you're able to bring love, gratitude, and patience within that, life can be so much more magical. When it comes to balancing respect for your parents and your personal beliefs, is to understand that every single one of us, we are born into this world at a different point in time, a different culture, a different environment, a different scenario, socio-economic background, and even the things that we consume physically through our food, and then through digital media or whatever it is that we see in our worlds, is totally different, right? And then it shapes our being, and it guides the different values within our lives. So understand, right? For me, is understanding that not everybody has the same values, because every single one of us are unique beings, and we are driven by different values for a higher purpose, for a bigger reason. One of the great examples that I've gotten is that a bee doesn't know its true purpose, right? A bee just flies around, going from flower to flower to flower to flower, right? And then, but what happens through that process is what happens at 90 degrees. I believe it's what they call a precession, right? As the bee is journeying from flower to flower, right, it is dropping the pollen along the way, and it is pollinating the other for other flowers and plants to bloom, right? But a bee doesn't know why it is driven to do what it does, but it has a higher purpose. It has a bigger purpose within this grand scheme of things in our universe, in our ecosystem. So I believe that when it comes to our own personal values and beliefs, is to understand it may not be 100% in alignment with our parents, right? Because we have our own purpose and they have theirs, right? So it's important for us to honor each other's beliefs, respect each other, right? And then come to understand, okay, I understand where you are coming from, and this is the reason why I believe in so and so, and you have this other form of belief, right? The different values and structures to help you maybe even meet the same end goals as I do, right? But it's okay to have different beliefs, right? Especially at the end of the day, if it's sustainable for all, right? Who am I to assume that I know it all? And that is the greatest downfall for most people, when we start thinking, oh, I know it all, right? And it is that ego and arrogance that will surely bring us down, right? And life has a way of humbling us, whether we believe in karma or not, whether we believe in God or not, right? It is just the way of life. and avoiding arrogance. Definitely a very important part about community cohesion, bringing communities together, especially if you are living in close physical proximity with one another. All of these little disagreements, arrogance, right? Or I believe in the sermon about loud voices like the brain donkey. It can cause disharmony within your environment and community. So being able to be humble and have humility is sort of a social lubricant to be able to ease the day-to-day lives, even though you may have different beliefs or you may disagree with one another, but because you have that humility, right, to think that, oh, maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe I don't fully understand where this person is coming from. Okay, maybe I am ignorant, which we all are, by the way. We are all ignorant in our own way, right? And right, just come from that perspective to say, hey, I may be wrong. I may not know it all, right? And just to bring humility back into the picture. So this passage definitely reinforces about my beliefs when it comes to humility, kindness, and being able to honor our source. Right? In this instance, is about our family. Okay, and when we honor our source, that is how we be closer to God, and I believe this is how we be closer to peace within ourselves, because we come from a long lineage to be able to be on this earth here today. And when we honor from where we come from, that is how we are able to appreciate the grander scheme of things. Okay, what for us to be here right here today, to be able to speak with one another, for our listeners to be able to listen to this, it took a lot of millions and millions of probabilities to line up all together to be here right here today. So it's very important for us to be grateful for for whom we came from, and for where we are today, right? So that definitely reinforces my belief. So if I could take one lesson from this passage, is to remember to be humble. Okay, to be able to not be misguided by false idols, I guess, in this instance and example. So right, because it's very easy to be led astray in our lives, right? And it's important for us to have a very, very strong and clear frame of mind. Clarity in mind is very, very important for us to lead our day-to-day life, and also to be able to lead it with humility, to understand that we don't know it all. Okay, we don't know it all, and every single experience is an opportunity for us to learn. Yes, my questions to Muslims on based on what I just watched is, when it comes to these verses, sometimes it can come off as very, very strong, right? Previously, I did mention about commanding and all of that, right? My question is it a matter of it being a loss in translation? Maybe the English language may not be able to encapsulate the true meaning and intent behind the verses, or does it really mean, when it comes to commanding, it is really commanding and demanding in the way, because that is the perspective where I feel that it is coming from, right? Or is it in the way where it is more of like a kind of like parental guidance sort of way, where it's like, listen to my guidance, that sort of way, right? So yeah, that's my question.